I'll just check all the settings are solid. Yeah. So what episode is this? Episode 5. Working
Yes.
our way up, getting to that 100.
Yep.
I'll take your
If
speaker as well. So I've got a fountain next to me churning water. The mosquito paradise. Cool. So So what about this date then that you told me about the Stubbs restaurant?
yes, it's funny because Stubbs as well has 6 letters in it. Phone number, prefix is 1233, followed by 666, followed by 111, which also equals 3. It also has 498 Google reviews, which is 3 times 166. What else do we have? Oh, and it's on Apollo. It's on let me tell you the name of it's okay. It's next to Apollonia Beauty. Yeah, nothing in that. I think that's genuinely coincidental, i.e., that's probably more organic, stroke, cosmic, mathematical, robotic matrix stuff than intentional human design. But the phone number, intentional human design for sure. It's got to be. I think it
Although,
costs.
is it?
And
I guess
one,
yeah, go for it.
yeah. I mean, absolutely. The number 666 really exists, and some kid had to. There's a school of 2,000 kids. The kid that was called to, I don't know, to do something. It's number 666 isn't necessarily Damien, but yeah. So these things exist. Funnily enough, as we know about cusp dates and stuff, yesterday being the 22nd of October, which would be the cusp day, the coming in of a new zodiac sign, and it has like a esoteric significance. As we know, many people of significance are born on cusps on 21st or the 22nd of the month. And they also tend to die a lot on the 21st, 22nd. And yeah, yesterday there was a underworld figure that was suicided. His name's Dave Courtney. And he made it as like a kind of like UK, maybe B-list kind of celebrity. He acted in
The
like
UK gangster turned actor.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. And yesterday he was, in my estimation, probably suicided. They said initial reaction reports were that he shot himself in the head. Immediately, I just thought.
Yeah.
And apparently there was a pillow over his face. I mean, if you're gonna shoot yourself in the face, would you you just put a pillow in so I don't make any noise for anybody? I don't know. So yeah, we'll see. But they're definitely treating it as suspicious, and it sounds suspicious if you ask me. So R.I.P. Dave Courtney. And yeah, he was also linked to the Cray twins and people like that. He was 64 years old, born on the 17th of February. So yeah, as I said, he's a genuine working class lad. Yeah, I mean, but who knows? Who knows which heights he reached, which lodges he annoyed potentially. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, with that career working with the Cray twins, no doubt. I mean, the Cray twins were involved in issuing children to the politicians for their fuck fests. I mean, it was the what was his name? I get them mixed up because they're twins.
I think Reggie was the one that was the
Reggie was the one that was banging kids, or he was
yeah.
certainly banging very young men. And he was attending the same parties where children were issued to various influential characters. But naturally, anyone working within their realm, hence this chap who was suicided as of, was it yesterday or this morning?
It was literally Sunday morning. So,
Sunday morning.
Yeah.
A chap like that's going to know who's been banging the 9-year-olds and who hasn't, amongst other things. So eventually, whether they needed to, whether it was just for insurance, just in case, a guy like that's going to get bullets to the head. And there we go. It's just happened.
Indeed.
expected. Although I say that, but then there's many cases where people that have apparently, ended their years on this in this world are probably still alive. It's all just a game plan. You have your stint of kind of theatricals, pretending, imitating certain characters, whether they're politicians or I don't know, military officials or whatever, and then you end up getting car bombed, or you go missing, or you die of old age. But realistically speaking, you're still dotting around playing golf in some course in North America. And I mean, it's part of the contract, isn't it? It's part of the stipulations. You're born into the service, and it is a service because it's a cult. Fraternal sororities, fraternal brotherhoods, sisterhoods. They know the game plan from the off, and once they do their service, I guess it's retirement from there on. So who knows? Who knows? Could just be a character.
Exactly. One more thing about Stubbs Restaurant. I'm looking at the coordinates. So phone number 01233 666 111. The coordinates are 51, which is 6.166. Yeah, matrix coincidence. It's got to be.
Well, it's a combination of both. I think they do it because there is a genuine energy to these numbers. I mean, the numerology is present within our realm, at least. Visually speaking, we can recognize it because it's meant to be recognized for those who have the capacity to. But that recognition is because there is this deep underlying kind of spiritual essence behind these kind of numerological factors, the ley lines, etc. The kind of the parameters of the world as we know it exist within what you could call a matrix, I guess, because everything's a program. I was just thinking when you opened, everything's a program, really. So even if we were biological and this wasn't a virtual experience, and we're not actually just kind of drones in some fluid bathing in some bath on some skyscraper as depicted in Keanu Reeves' Matrix, with of course the producers or the directors being two transsexual brothers now, again, because that's the way it happens, right? But even if we were AI, it doesn't really matter, because everything has to be controlled by a system. Do you know what I mean? So if you take the kind of like Christian standpoint or the religious standpoint, there's this kind of one God, this all kind of time creator who's sitting up in a cloud and designing everything that we see. Well, that still has to be a derivative of planning, and plans come from numbers. So, or as a form, numbers, metaphor.
As a formula.
As a formula, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah.
I mean,
it's
even
to be expected.
Mathematics is like the be all and end all of everything. It's like this thought plus this action equals this result. This feeling projected at this situation equals this result. This action minus, one's deductive reasoning, ironically, equals a certain feeling. And literally everything can be equated to an equation.
Everything can be equated to an equation. That's a nice T-shirt right there. I sometimes, by the way, I I did the Google Drive thing recently. I had to transfer all files from just all these various emails I had created for the free 15 gigabytes, because I consolidated them all into one centralized address. And I came across a list of kind of stupid kind of T-shirt slogans and kind of funny phrases that I concocted along with some friends a number of years ago. I'll have to send them to you, because it would be quite a cool thing just to. I know T-shirt shops are so corny, but some of these are really fucking good, man. some of them are appalling. Of course, you walk through an airport with one of these and you'd be detained instantaneously. But I mean, that's what gives it kind of a little bit of magic. Exactly. I think so. I'll have to spread that across via WhatsApp or wherever. So what have you been up to then, aside from getting asked out on it? Did she ask you out on a date, or did you?
Which one?
The restaurant.
Yeah. So she recommended it. So yeah,
she recommended it. How does that work?
This was the first you recommend, like, so basically, I was like, we both don't really know the area too well that we were going to meet in because she's like a Kent person. So yeah, in Kent, there's just like not a lot going on. So the place that this Stubbs is in Ashford, which is about half an hour from her and like, maybe 45 minutes from me. And I was like, I don't know, so I recommended somewhere. It was called the Riverside Inn, had good reviews and stuff. And apparently they sold like amazing food. So I was like, yeah, okay, it's kind of like a weeknight kind of situation. Perfect. And she was like, oh, Stubbs Champagne Bar. And if you want to go even deeper with the Stubbs Champagne Bar, Champagne has 9 letters, bar has 3, Stubbs has 6, 3, 6, 9. The maths is simple, 18. There can be flips and dice so many ways, 666. But phone number 666, prefix 01233, ends in 111, which equals 3. Yeah, that's the Matrix on overdrive.
Is it normal to meet in champagne bars? Perhaps I don't live in your
In
world, James, but
it,
it does seem very upper middle to be going to champagne bars on the weekend. What does she do for a living?
well, on a
That's her
Tuesday.
recommendation as well.
Yeah,
Probably because she wasn't paying.
Well, I mean, the thing is that nowadays, this is one good thing about the Liberals is that going Dutch isn't so frowned upon anymore. So yeah, that's one good thing about this whole kind of change in the social order of things. But yeah.
But you still paid, didn't you?
I mean, the thing is, not always. No, I mean, absolutely not. Not always. I'm inclined to, like, more often than not, maybe. But like, if they kind of, jump up with their card, I'm like, okay, yeah, fair play. If they jump up
I have
with
a
it.
I have a question. Do you think, I mean, I think I know the answer to this because it goes down that rabbit hole of every single act is a self-interested act. But let's say you go on 10 dates, so 10
Yep.
women, 10
Yep.
dates, okay?
Yep.
Now, you have this kind of this moral idea, this morally grounded idea, which I agree with, and that everyone should pay their own bill. You should split the bill, right? Unless someone is
Yeah.
really struggling for cash. For everyone, everyone should split the bill, irrespective of whether a man or a woman. That's the way it should be.
I think. Okay.
However, would you be more inclined to pay if the lady was more attractive?
Right. This
Now, be
is
honest.
right. Okay. Right. Once upon a time, yes.
Yes, it is though, is
Absolutely,
it?
yes. Once upon a time, but not anymore. So it's like I went to Marbella recently. Yeah, very wanky, I know. I'm not one of those
Yes.
Marbella people. I just kind of like went along, I kind of just went along for the experience. Just it was like going to a zoo and a human one. And yeah, I met, a very attractive lady and like she had this like entitled aura and like she was making saying things like basically expecting me to pay for things and I thought to myself, right, I don't think it's morally right for I think a woman should have to like kind of prove her worth before like I start just like because a lot of women kind of just see it as, oh yeah, I'll go out on a night out, I'll get guys to buy me drinks and yeah, and I'll go home, I can get multiple men to buy me drinks and
But I think it's a level thing, isn't it, though? It's, I won't interrupt, keep going.
yeah. So there's a part of me that is like, whether it's the ego, it's like I don't like to feel victimized or used by a woman, in particular. And I think it's probably down to, experiences of, been that guy who's, bought a lady a couple of drinks and then, maybe she's fucked off with somebody else or done something, that one would deem as unfair because you've got these unwritten kind of rules in your head. It's like, okay, well, you talk to somebody buys you drinks, it's because, you gotta let somebody buy you drinks who you're interested in or but yeah, as we know, people will try and just get things because they can get things. And I don't like to facilitate that. And I think it breeds bad behavior. It's like rewarding a bad child because somebody who's out there just like get things and then you giving it to them and then, it kind of just exacerbates and perpetuates said behavior. So I like to nip things in the bud, and I like to be that guy that changes a woman's paradigm. So I'll do things that might not be expected of one, and I've found recently that that is definitely the way to go in terms of self-interest, in terms of morality, I think, and even just for the sake of like society.
I also think it
Absolutely.
commands more respect in terms of the
Absolutely.
woman's perspective. It's quite an alpha move,
100.
to be honest. It shows that you're not too
Absolutely.
desperate. That said, it still goes back to the original question that
If they're more
if
attractive.
if a 10, if there was a 10, and I'm not saying she's asking you to buy her a drink, but you want to solidify that date, you can't tell me that you wouldn't be more inclined to
Oh,
pay the
mate,
bill because it's more beneficial to you to
mate.
do so. You know,
Okay, I've actually got to that level now where yeah, it's all the same, and
really?
sometimes
Oh
I'm
no.
even more, and sometimes I'm even more likely to buy a less good-looking bird a drink because she's probably not even like, I'll just do it out of charity, like just yeah, you know, have it because you're not trying to get anything
No,
from it.
that's bullshit because
Oh,
that
I swear,
contradicts the self-interest. That contradicts the notion of everything is done to benefit the individual, right? So you don't, but no one buys anything for someone out of charity because there's no such thing as charity. There's no such thing as selfishness, selflessness, or the word what's the word I'm thinking of? Altruism. It's complete bullshit. It's nonsense. No one does anything against themselves. There's always a self-interest there to be had. So if you're buying a less attractive person a drink, perhaps it's because you think they're easier.
um,
And that's what I was going to go into, the league scenario, because this doesn't just apply to relationships between men and women, or women and women, or men and men, or whatever. This applies to the whole social structure, the social fabric of everything that we see and do, right? Because in any relationship, take a married couple with 4 kids, someone's the boss. In fact, take the kids, one of the kids, irrespective of if they're different ages, they could be Siamese twins. One of them is the beta, or one of them's alpha. Perhaps that's the wrong way of putting it, but one is in charge and one has lesser authority. Everything in life is the same. You take 3 ministers, they're all working on, I don't know, 65k a year, exact same salary. They're all the same height, same eye color, same hair color, went to the same school. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how close things are. Someone always has more authority. So bringing that back down into the original question of like, okay, we have the moral standpoint that, you know, you should split a bill, but realistically speaking, do you think there's more desire for, let's say, the man to pay in certain situations, or the woman to want to split the bill, or even offer to pay because there's a difference in league? So, for instance, with the latter example, perhaps the woman is less attractive than the man, and she likes the man more, therefore she's willing to split the bill or pay. And in the case of, you know, the reverse, the man,
mate.
you know, sees that the woman is way more attractive or way better looking, and therefore
Right.
he has to put more effort in.
I've experienced both. I've experienced every corner of this spectrum or every angle of this prism. So obviously, like last year, there was that crazy situation with the German ladies. She was on as close to a 10 as you can get, I suppose. You know, blonde, tall, big tits, pre-face, and all that sort of stuff, athletic body. And she was, you know, very happy to pay. Like, obviously, she was minted. You know, she flipping rode like horses for fun, and she had her own like dental practice and stuff. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah, I do. I remember the pictures
Yeah,
as well.
yeah. So, you know, yeah. So, how could you forget? And yeah, so she, you know, was happy. So once again, there's so many different like nuances because a really hot chick with money versus a really hot chick that hasn't got money. Maybe like if I picked her up in like a Lamborghini, but she doesn't know what my situation is. Maybe she's just assumed that she's richer than me, so therefore she felt more inclined to pay. Whereas like recently, a situation where like I met, you know, a quote unquote 10 who was a lot more like, yeah, you know, like, and quite vocal about the fact that she expected a man to pay, and I still didn't, and I still managed to take her home. So, and yeah, you know, we still talk. So yeah, these and then also I've had another situation very recently with another Swiss lady who maybe might have felt that she wasn't so attractive, and therefore she kind of jumps up and kind of was like, yeah, let's split it all. And the funny thing about it is that I was gonna just pay it. I was gonna pay it all. I went upstairs to pay it, and she ran up beside me and like insisted that we go halves. And yeah, so I mean, honestly, I'm more likely to pay for somebody who's a nice. I would go on a date with somebody who's travelled a long way that isn't like somebody who I might not even find that attractive. And I would pay for it just for the fact that they're a nice person. Whereas it could be this really hot chick who's just like a bit of a bitch and a bit entitled. I just think, nah, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to fucking pay for it from like a moral standpoint. And I would agree that there is a level of self-interest because everything you could argue is a self-interest act, even if it is genuinely for somebody else's what we call physical benefit, because you can get some residual spiritual or kind of rub from it, or
100%. You're implanting energy, or you're
yeah,
implanting a directive of energy, I guess.
exactly, like an endorphin high. It might be something that's temporary, even though like consciously you're not doing it for that reason. Unconsciously, you're saying yourself that it can definitely be argued that ultimately you're getting something from any act that you do, any act. I would, my standpoint. I'm more of a believer in altruism, because it's like, and I think there could be, I mean, if you want to be very like, shall we say, logical and philosophical, there's absolutely an argument there isn't, and I understand the argument. However, in reality, and I think intention matters. I think intention is like a real thing. And I think kind of human discernment and intention shouldn't be completely discounted. And once again, there could be like a whole scientific and metaphysical debate to be had on that as well. But maybe we'll do that on episode 6 or 71 or 66.
or 6 to 71, because it would take so long to get to that stage of being able to decipher if there is an answer to the question at hand.
Exactly.
But no, it is a very, I actually see that it doesn't almost matter whether there is a final answer to the question, but for me, like, questioning why it is that we do things is perhaps the most important characteristic to have when deciphering all other aspects of our life, because to interpret yourself is to interpret others, and once you feel that you have a grounding in understanding why it is that you do certain things, then it's you feel at least that you can interpret others, and through interpreting others you can interpret the events of the day, and through interpreting the events of the day you can interpret the events of the past from the future, and therefore kind of discern the directive that you want to place yourself in. So I think it's actually one of the most important what's the word? Accolades, I guess, to possess. Even the question itself, pondering it, having it in the back of your mind to kind of query at a future date is a step in the right direction as far as I'm concerned. I think it's a really good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. One of my favorite, qualities in people are those people have like an introspective nature. People are inquisitive in general, but especially those who are introspective and kind of analyze themselves, look inside, their own mind. People that are self-aware, people that understand themselves, and their triggers, and ultimately that's progressive, because people with those kind of minds are always going to be the type that grow and are going to learn quicker and just be more open to stuff in general, being truly open-minded. Yeah.
Speaking of open-mindedness, then, what is on your bucket list? What are the things that you would like to do? The kind of classic certain number of tasks to undertake before you die, that kind of thing.
Okay, absolutely. To have a fantastic threesome with 2 10s, absolutely. I mean, it's got to be. I mean, 3
only 2.
Yeah, I mean, because anything more than that just gets
3's a crowd.
awkward.
3 more's a crowd.
Yeah, absolutely, it'll be awkward. It's like it's like flipping on like 3. It's like entertaining 1 is like take some doing, like. But yeah, 2 birds, that is plenty. I mean, and the thing is that honestly, if I died and that didn't happen, it's like I could happily live with myself. You know, I've had some fun in my day, but that's a real novelty that that I'd like to have. It'd have to be like under the perfect circumstances, like, you know, for it to be really good, like, you know, like they actually both like kind of like you, and you know, and everything's good. Like, you know, paying for it or something just wouldn't be. Yeah,
I wouldn't cut it. But I
exactly.
think for that to happen, you've got to go to a different environment, because I think there's certain places in the world, certain cultures where there's more inclination for just people as a whole to do things that are like less conventional. And though the UK, I don't think the UK is, but although London is more multicultural and there's certainly a lot going on, it is an international vibe. I still think that the odds of attaining that desire are far more prevalent in, let's say, somewhere like Sweden, off the top of my head, or even Germany, to be honest, because Germans are they're repressed people, and I think with repression comes expression in different forms. And I think it's very underground with German culture. I think as a result of the kind of East-West divide, and, you know, for a lot of people living under a kind of regime, and being kind of enforced or forced to kind of undertake a very disciplined lifestyle, I think they release themselves in ways that are very kind of Berlin-esque, for lack of a better term, as I'm sure we've talked about before, and I'm sure you've experienced. So I think somewhere like that increases your odds. I think you got to, or somewhere like Colombia, to be honest. I think, you know, Latin America has areas where you'll be able to kind of pick up on that easier than you perhaps would be able to, naturally speaking, in, like, you know, Mayfair or Belgravia or even Shoreditch or, you know, New Cross or wherever.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, actually, because another good friend of mine actually said almost the same thing to me. He was like, "Yeah, do you know what you should do, James? You should get on a flight to Colombia and go and find a woman." So it's just funny that you said Colombia, because you also said Colombia as well. So yeah, that could be the Matrix talking to me.
So be booking that flight to Colombia soon. So what else is on the bucket list then?
So there's that. There's going to Thailand, because it's just something that's like been in my head since I was like 11 years old, and like I dreamt of being a professional Thai boxer, and like I fought at amateur level. But yeah, that's just, you know, like into club stuff. But yeah, I was just like, there's something about just trying to always to go to Thailand, but for many other reasons. You know, great food, great weather, you
Great
know,
nightlife.
parties, exactly. But just to like being at the land of Thai boxing. Thai boxing was my first love of in terms of martial arts. That was my first love, and it was a back injury that stopped me competing in Thai boxing, and I kind of scaled it back to boxing and just, you know, throwing hands, and that's my fitness and self defense kind of art of choice at the moment. Going and doing a camp there. I'd also like to go to Nara, Japan. And there's just something enchanting about it. And the fact that the deers are revered in that place, and, you know, literally deers can just walk around the shops, is just something very wholesome about that place. I'd like to go there. I mean, obviously, I'd have to visit Tokyo. If I went to Japan, I'd have to visit Tokyo. But Nara in Japan, and then those are the three main things. There's millions of other things, but yeah, those are the three standouts. And it's just so funny that I mentioned the woman first. But anyway,
That sounds like at least two good trips. I mean, obviously, I don't think it would be. Well, you could consolidate them all into one, but Thailand's
especially in Thailand. I mean,
Japan,
Thailand,
so you could do
1 and 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Say it again. Say the 1-3 thing again.
Could consolidate 1 and 3. So Thailand,
Yeah,
sort of
100%.
meet, you know, some like whatever raunchy Belgian girls that are traveling, and then, like, you know, something could happen.
Why Belgium? That's
I don't
so
know.
random.
I don't know. Just something just tells me that. Yeah, I don't know. Just
Belgium.
Belgium.
It's
Yeah.
all right. It's not great. I mean, Flemish Belgium's nice. Ghent's and what else? Bruges. I know if Bruges is in Flemish Belgium. I think it is. Yeah. But Ghent was really nice place. But bloody hell, French Belgium's a shithole. Not all of them. There are nice people, of course, but that Brussels, good God. And I was like, oh no, Brussels is really nice. No, it's not. Shit, it's terrible. Bloody hell.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think Thailand and Japan. I'd never heard of that Japanese deer thing, though. I guess it's not
Yeah,
dissimilar to India with respect to cows. You know how they're revered and they can wander into people's shops and lay down
yeah,
on the floor and take a dump, and no one cares.
yeah, exactly. It's just like this, yeah. In Naras, I think the legend behind it is that there was like some kind of patron saint, and the idea was that when he, died, they believe that his soul went into a deer, and then as a result, there's a revered. Let me just look that up. Pretty sure that is
So
the
there's no venison on the menu then.
yeah, unfortunately not. Although I have eaten antelope before, which is very tasty.
No, I bet I like game actually, like gamey meat. I think it's delicious. You know, pheasant. What did I have? I had springbok as well. I've had lion, which some people don't like, but it was delicious actually.
Hmm.
The gamey burger.
So you
Um,
see, lion. What? Like, describe that meat to me.
so I mean, think of like a beef burger, and then replace that with that gamey flavour that you get from like a rabbit or a pheasant or something like that. Very heavy, very rich, tasty actually, tasty. Nothing like beef. The consistency is, the look is, but it's really gamey, very rich, very kind of like a purpley meat. It was really nice, and that probably wasn't good lion either, because I don't imagine they're slicing up the healthy ones. I imagine these are the old boys that get shredded in the farms and whatnot in South Africa that they use for appeasing American hunters and whatnot. I guess once they reach their sell by date, or perhaps zoos. Who knows? Perhaps it came from the Mexican zoo. I had it in Mexico City actually, not on this trip,
Hmm.
but when I was last in Mexico City, there's a kind of high-end mercado, which is like a kind of like a like a farmer's market in Europe, but it's for novelty items, so novelty cheeses and meats and whatnot. You could eat elephant there, snake, springbok, ostrich. I think we had snake, lion, and maybe it was ostrich on that occasion.
Yeah, I've had ostrich. I've had ostrich
Yeah,
before.
I mean, some of them are just not great, but some of them are. It's a bit like fruit. It surprises me, you travel around the world and you often come across novelty fruits that should be on the shelves as kind of standard surplus in and around, Europe and the West. And but you tend to find the kind of atypical orange, apple, banana.
Yeah,
And that's not just because they're the most delicious fruit. I guess it's because they're the most consistent. They're the most, easily attainable.
yeah.
There are so many delicious things out there, but at the same time, there are shit ones as well that are just sold for the sake of it being a novelty. And you have a bite and you think, well, this is fucking bullshit. But I mean, there's always a market for that, isn't there? Because everyone wants to try something new, especially in a world of consumerism where foodies seem to be more prevalent than anyone else, any other kind of type of interest on this planet, which I've never understood. I think you're probably a foodie, aren't
I
you?
am.
I'm not a foodie, but some people are. It's like people that are really into dogs, which I really don't like. I find them weird. They're very strange people. People that are obsessed with their dogs, they lick their dogs, they kiss their
Oh,
noses,
yeah.
they dress their dogs up. They're weird. They've got social problems. They have, they've got some kind of mental illness. Like if they clearly don't treat their partners like that, probably because they don't have a partner. But it amazes me how people can apply such a level of respect and moral concern to a dog that will shit on the street comfortably and then have you wipe it up, which is another thing, isn't it? It's disgusting. Like you're a human being, you're an adult, and you're picking shit up with your hands from
Yeah.
an animal that you've bought, dressed, and you stroke and comb and take to bed. Some
And
people do. I find it disgusting. I find it a reflection of someone's integrity and strength. When I see people that are really into dogs like that, there's nothing wrong with having a German Shepherd or an Alsatian or just any dog, just having a dog, whatever. But people that are really into dogs, for me, are always the people that go out and get 5 fucking COVID jabs off the bat.
Oh,
They're
yeah,
those
yeah,
people. They're
definitely.
100%. Whereas cat people, I love cats. Cats are great animals. You can respect a cat because it commands respect, because it can survive it, independently. It can muster the courage to fight off 5 dogs, even if it's a kitten. It's just been conceived 5 minutes ago. It will have a scrap. It can sustain itself in the wild. It can jump on a fucking fence, and when it wants its attention, it will come and cuddle. And I respect that. I absolutely respect that. And another thing that bothers me about dogs, before I go on a massive rant, I will wrap it up because it really, really bothers me. dogs are such dumb animals. They're just absolutely incomprehensibly stupid, right? One characteristic of any intelligent creature is the ability to defecate in a safe spot. Human beings will take a dump in a toilet or behind a bush, as will cats, as will a lot of animals, because it's a security risk. You know, when you're out in the jungles, you know, in primeval periods before there was like social development and city sprawls, you know, you had to watch out. There might be a jaguar or a lion or a puma or some other rabid creature stalking you and lurking. So when you pulled your pants down, you had to be careful, you know, not to kind of, you know, lose, you know, the ability to defend yourself. Dogs don't give a crap, pun intended. They will literally crap in front of you on the street. They're just, I detest them. I detest 95% of dogs. I have zero respect for them, whereas I have 110% respect for cats. I love them.
Yeah.
But for me, it's a good way to judge human beings. You know, what pets they own.
Dog and cat behavior is completely different. Like dogs literally try and have sex with humans. Cats never do that. Like cats,
No, they never do that. You're absolutely right. Yeah.
Dogs will get excited and wee on you. Like literally, they'll get excited and jump and like wee on you. Cats
Which
do
is
not do that.
pathetic.
It's just so fucking. Dogs will eat and lick their own poo.
Oh, it's disgusting. It's disgusting.
Like,
yeah, screw 'em.
yeah, and dogs smell more than cats as well. Like cats generally don't smell. Dogs generally
No, they don't. Yeah,
smell. Yeah,
100%. Even street cats. You know, you see street cats and they keep themselves, you know, relatively, you know, clean compared to that of a street dog. So yeah, couldn't agree more.
But that being said, I do like there's certain endearing things about dogs. The fact that you know, they like to play and like they kind of, you know, listen to what you say for food and stuff. Like
it's just being a friend that's
of what you
subservient.
eat.
It's basically having a slave, isn't it? That's
Yeah.
why I think people have dogs, because they can't get friends, so they have to, you know, they have to supplant little animals in their lives that will do whatever they want them to do. And look, I'm going to take it a little bit further. I will say that generally, I think there's two. When you see a man on his own, that's a heterosexual, because you do see gay men with little handbag dogs. But usually, single men with dogs have a big dog. I think that's fair to say. It's usually like some guy that's a trucker, and he's got a big dog, right? Women have the exact opposite. And this is a good question. Why is that? Because you'd expect it to be kind of like, I don't know if it's I think it's a maternal thing perhaps, but you'd expect it to be from a kind of safety perspective, the opposite. Like some women do have big dogs.
Yeah,
I would say most women have
the
little handbag dogs, the little creatures that look like satanic. Yeah, they look like Satan's spawn. They're disgusting. And I wonder why that is. Do you think it's like the desire to control? Because I think women like to control a lot, absolutely. But I also think there's a maternal aspect to it. Whereas I think men want to be strong and portray themselves as being perhaps more alpha than they sometimes are, which is why they have big dogs. What do you think about
that? Yeah, so it's interesting. So I think we said about the maternal aspect. I think a lot of women like these cute little dogs. It's like, oh, I've got a little baby. I've got a little baby. You know, it kind of feeds into that.
Yeah.
And then there are some women who are like, fucking hell, I'm alone. I probably can't get a boyfriend, but I can get a big dog. Like, he might, I put some Pedigree on my minge, like he'll lick that now and again. And on top
and it
of
happens.
that,
it happens
absolutely,
100%. And it's portrayed in a stand-up comedy sketch. I've forgotten the name of the YouTube channel. It's the biggest stand-up YouTube channel. But anyway, keep going. I'll remember it.
What's BTC is now 25k GBP. Just flashed up Coinbase. Anyway,
must be about what 31k USD.
So it went past the 30k more. I mean, you said, what did you literally said 31k?
Yeah, I said it would probably go up to 31 and then it will dump back down again probably. But who knows? It's all rigged anyway.
Yes, I think that you're probably right. I mean, the maternal aspect definitely plays into it. The protection aspect plays into it, but probably less so, because I would definitely agree that more of them get these like kind of like nowadays, like so many birds have got like cockapoos or some kind of like little shaggy kind of dog or poodly kind of thing, or like a little mini whippets, and pugs and these French bulldogs and stuff
Oh
like
God,
that.
fucking French bulldogs, man. If I see one more of those, Jesus Christ, I'll drop kick it across the street. I'm sick of them, man. I'm sick of them. It's like people don't even have an imagination. It's like when you name your children, people call their kids
Oh,
such
what's
generic
that?
names, common names in the world, which actually irritates me. I mean, your name's James. I'm Jonathan, which is a little less common, but John is one of the most common names in the world.
Yeah.
It's the same with dogs. Like, why don't people put a bit of imagination in? You're conceiving a child. You're going to spend like 2 decades at least with that child every single day for most hours a day raising it. And then you're going to call your child something that 25 million other people in your continent are called. I just find it insane. But it's the same with dogs. If you're going to get a dog and you're going to sacrifice 20 years of your life again, it's not dissimilar to having a child. Why just get a dog that everyone else has? Do you know what I mean? Like, oh, that person's got a French poodle, I'll get a French, or a French bulldog, I'll get a French bulldog. It's just so like it's such a perfect depiction of how unimaginative the majority of society are. They just do exactly what they're told. They go out, they take their jabs, they go to the same fast food outlets, they go to the same bars, they watch the same Coronation Street or EastEnders soap operas, they go to the same pointless job where they're killing their brain every single day, and then it's just a constant rotation until the day they die, and then their children inherit that, and then we have to deal with that shit. And then my kids in the future are going to be having to fucking kill these other children who are then adults, because those children are going to be trying to impose totalitarian regimes on the rest of us. And it's going to be a whole Terminator 2 Judgment Day scenario. That's why every time I see morons breeding, it actually makes me sick, because I know that our descendants are going to be the ones having to fend off this rabble, this fucking just spew of spawn that should never have been.
This is why I may not
supplanted on this
have any
planet.
descendants, because I might not subject
That's
them
true,
to
yeah.
such. Yeah.
Well, you've had opportunity, haven't you? I mean,
yeah.
how do you know you don't have any already?
Yeah, I mean, I'm quite responsible and careful. It shows how meticulous I am with my execution of these happenings. But we started off talking about food and like how, you know, people eat, and then it kind of like ended up where we were. I don't think you actually landed the food point that you started on. Do you remember you started off with like you're probably more of a foodie than I am, and then like consumerism, and that how food is literally like the biggest kind of consumer thing. And then we kind of segued into something else, but I felt like there was a point you were going to make about food.
Well, yeah, there was an original point, and then there was going to be a cut-off point to stop my rant. The latter being, I was going to say, the reason I don't like food is because I know most of the chefs own dogs. Dogs sniff shit. Shit goes on their hands, and that goes in my food. And that's why I don't want to go anywhere near most restaurants.
That most chefs
so that was going to be the cutoff of the round. The original point was just that I find food is so popular with people because they don't have any other imagination, and other things require effort, and people aren't willing to put the effort in. Whereas, you know, going out to a new restaurant is an easy dopamine fix, isn't it? You kind of live a busy life, you work 9 to 5. Going bungee jumping or rock climbing requires effort. Anything else requires effort. Even the cinema for most people requires effort, which is why cinemas are now bankrupt globally, and they're pretty much empty every time you rock up. Hence the picture and video I sent you from Peru 2 times actually. And it's the same with the UK. You know. Anyway, I digress. So I just think it's an easy fix. Oh, let's go to the new sushi restaurant, stuff our face with Tao Ting Chang's new fucking sushi recipe, and that will give us a fix to make us feel like we've done something productive with the day. And of course, you add 20 years onto that and 150 goddamn kilos, they're destroying the economy because the taxpayer, I don't pay tax, I've never paid tax, but people that are honest and pay tax are paying tax because obese Jane has been stuffing her face with hot dogs every single fucking day for the last 25 years, and consequently she's got a 200k per year, you know, hospital bill that has to be fucking paid out by someone that's actually spent the time and, you know, dedication looking after their bodies. It irritates me. It's such an unnecessary waste of life to be pondering about food for the hours that most people do.
Yeah, pondering about food.
That's my opinion.
Absolutely not. I'm a lover of good fucking food. Like, you know me. Like,
yeah, but I mean, you're healthy. That's the thing. Like, you've got a valid reason to. Yeah.
yeah, I'm a bit of a connoisseur when it comes to I just want the finest ingredients. I want pureness. Yeah, anti-matrix food is what I want. Stuff that's going to cleanse my cells from the inside out. That's what I want. Supplemented with some greasy fried
100%.
chicken, donuts now and again, and alcohol.
Yeah, but you can appreciate that most people don't have that because, again,
Yeah,
most people's taste is bullshit. You know, they watch the shit movies at the cinema and just, you know,
absolutely.
believe that
Wagamama's is
it's.
their fucking dream food.
No, exactly. It's literally just Wendy's, McDonald's,
Yeah,
fucking Dr. Pepper's, Coca-Cola's back to back. It's like people
yeah.
get excited and weed themselves just like their own dog that's probably pissing on their toe at the same time. Every time Coke brings out a Coke Zero Vanilla, it's like, oh God, I've got to get to the supermarket and get it. It's just, which of course they're not going to walk to because that's why they're so fat in the first place. Even though there could be a Walmart around the corner, they're getting their fucking station wagon or truck, which they don't even need to own because they're not construction workers. They don't live out in the countryside. They just own it because it's a brand. Because just like owning a big dog, it makes them feel like they're actually something. It makes them feel like an alpha to have a truck. When we all know
I live in the city. Like what the?
Yeah, it's like it's just completely. It's just again, this all ties back down to the way they do divide society. To bring it, I guess, back into the realms of politics and current affairs, and kind of discerning why it is that people act in certain ways. They being the status quo have created this ability to slice and divide society like pizzas. Identity politics, essentially. You're gay, you're straight, you're black, you're white, you're a man, you're a woman, you're a feminist. You've got pink hair, you've got blue hair, you've got a tattoo of Amy Winehouse, you've got a tattoo of a dog. You've got a blue tattoo, you've got a black tattoo. It's all aesthetic. Society has placed value in aesthetic because underneath they don't have anything else because there's no value to them. There's no value to their souls. They don't have anything other than what they portray on the surface to be.
100%. It's like I'll go out to these places that for lack of a better word, normies frequent, and you look around and you're over.
That's a nice T-shirt.
Yeah, I go to the places that normies frequent. Right, we'll have to write. Yeah, do you know we'll have to produce one. They're pretty cheap. We'll produce one. We'll produce quality T-shirts, but yeah, they'll be fairly cheap. The line coming shows soon, listeners. Hopefully we'll sell about 3 or 4 units at least.
Or we might have lost all our listeners now because they might all be fat Texans that own dogs that piss on their shoes. Exactly. So who knows? It might be down to zero viewing.
Yeah, dogs are very delicate topic. Dogs are a bit like Israel, don't you think? Like, you can't talk bad about dogs.
No, that's true. That is true. And they bark far too much and they make far too much. Well, we'll leave it at that in case we want to upload this to YouTube, and the Zionists won't have our being free to chat. So I'm trying to stop myself from talking, but I can't. All right, continue
on. One more thing, like that voice note that you left me earlier on, that was at 7 minutes 45 seconds. I think that should just be uploaded to our channel by itself because you touched on a lot. It was very concise, it was very clear, and you summarized what's going on globally very well with the social credit system, and also what's like, and when I say social credit system, it's like it's already here. Like when you think about what a credit score is, like based on this, we will allow you to buy a house. Even if you've got £2 million in cash, you cannot get certain things if your credit score. So like, whereas you could be on like 40 grand a year and you could have a really good credit score, or you could have £2 million cash in the bank and have a really bad credit score. Because you could be like an alpha who never took out a credit card, who said, I'm not going to fucking pay that CCJ because it was an unlawful fine that I was given. And it's another way to kind of separate people, separate dissidents, quote unquote, dissidents from the sheeple that just bow to the status quo, whether it's morally right or wrong. But yeah, it was a fantastic 7 minute and 45-second rant. If you like the sound of Jonathan's voice and generally agree with his views, then this is gold. It's got to be listened to. Definitely, that would be should be uploaded to our channel.
100%. There we
And
go. That was good, wasn't it?
yeah,
Refreshing.
pretty much.
Refreshing to get all of that inner anger out into the public sphere, into the public arena for other people to absorb, sharing the negativity or positivity. But
Yeah. I mean, I think the truth is always progressive, and
truth is always positive, absolutely.
and and like, Eve, let's just say, I don't know, like, it's not 100% correct. The fact that somebody's expressing themselves with honesty and the intent is integral. Like, there's actually like an integrity behind the intent. It's like that. Come on, respect, and it at least opens up dialogue, and that's what it's about. It's our freedom of speech, and this is the reason why we're on the platforms that we're on, because they still allow it, and YouTube and the like don't at the moment. Yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, thanks for listening. I think it's probably time to wrap this one up. It's 50 something odd minutes.
Absolutely. Yeah, thanks everyone for listening. Thanks for tuning in, and I guess we'll tune out now and have another uploaded in a week's time for you all to enjoy and muster upon. So yeah, cheers for listening. All right, speak later, James. Bye.
Adios.